And again, and again, and again, in the new document dump that just took place of the grand jury documents relating to criminal proceedings against Jeffrey Epstein. You'll recall back in February, the Florida legislature enacted a law, signed into law rather, by Governor DeSantis to release the criminal grand jury files of Epstein. Circuit Judge Luis Delgado ordered the 16-year-old documents released, writing that details in the record will be outrageous for decent people. Nearly 200 pages of documents have been released containing details of Epstein's crimes, including first-hand accounts from victims and specifics about payoffs to underage victims. And take a look whose name appears over and over and over again in the call log. As one commentator wrote, prior to marrying Melania in January 2005, Trump was calling Jeffrey Epstein in 2004 on the regular. We now have the phone messages between Epstein and Donald Trump, the phone message log that is, and this is in connection with the West Palm Beach indictment of Epstein that was released on Monday. His messages are in between girls calling to confirm massage appointments and messages from the disgraced modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel. It should be noted that Jean-Luc died by way of suicide in prison in 2022. Just take a look right here of the message logs right here, and you'll see, for example, Donald Trump's name appearing again and again and again, and we see it over and over right there. Around this time period, we are also aware from some reporting around that time, and actually in about 2019, 2020 as well, that Donald Trump was looking at real estate property with Epstein as well in the West Palm Beach area. And this is not surprising. They were very, very close friends. Donald Trump had remarked about Epstein in an interview with New York Magazine in 2002 that he thought Epstein was, quote, a terrific guy, and noted his penchant for pursuing women on the younger side. A direct quote from Donald Trump. This is undisputed. Trump said of Epstein in 2002, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy," Trump told New York Magazine. "He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them on the younger side." We know already that Donald Trump was also on Epstein's flight logs at least 7 times. Here are the receipts straight from the court records. In the Ghislaine Maxwell case, we see Trump's name over and over again. Also, we know from deposition testimony from the women that were trafficked by Epstein that he would bring them to Trump properties. For example, here's a deposition, page 78, of a woman who was trafficked, and she says, "So we're sitting there, and the pilots told me to go back and tell him that we can't land in New York and that we're going to have to land in Atlantic City." Jeffrey Epstein said, "Great, we'll call up Trump and we'll go to, I don't recall of the name of the casino, but we will go to a Trump property." Also, here's photos. Donald Trump would bring his kids around Epstein. Donald Trump would go clubbing, hang out, party around Epstein all the time. Multiple pictures there. Also, Mar-a-Lago was used in many ways as a way to bring women to Epstein. For example, Virginia Giuffre, a woman who was trafficked by Epstein. Epstein found her at Mar-a-Lago. That's where he was able to recruit her from. Here's an article about that from Reuters. Later in her childhood, this is about Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's victims. She was in and out of foster care. By the age of 14, she was living on the streets, where she says she found nothing except for hunger and pain and more abuse. It was in the year 2000, while attempting to rebuild her life, she met British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, and where ultimately she met her was at Mar-a-Lago. She was working in Mar-a-Lago. I think her father was one of the groundskeepers at Mar-a-Lago, and Giuffre was working there. She met Ghislaine. Ghislaine introduced her to Jeffrey, and the rest was history there. Around this time period as well, Donald Trump was doing some other activities like this as well. This was an article about Donald Trump's behavior in 1991 with the Look of the Year competition. Teen models, powerful men in private dinners. This is from The Guardian, by the way. When Trump hosted Look of the Year in 1991, here's how it was described by The Guardian. On September 1991, a large private yacht cruised toward the Statue of Liberty. It was a clear, breezy evening, and from the upper deck of the Spirit of New York, a golden sunset could be seen glinting off the Manhattan skyline. Downstairs, a party was in flow. Scores of teenage girls in evening dresses and miniskirts, some as young as 14, or actually I think younger than that, danced under disco lights. It could have been a high school prom, were it not for the crowd of older men surrounding them. As the evening wore on, some of the men, many old enough to be the girls' fathers or even grandfathers, joined them on the dance floor, pressing themselves against the girls. One balding man in a suit wrapped his arms around two young models, leering into a film camera that was documenting the evening. Can you please get some beautiful women around me, please? The party aboard the Spirit of New York was one of several events that Donald Trump, then 45 years old, attended with a group of 58 aspiring young models that September. You want to see what they look like, the aspiring young models who are 14-year-old, and I think were younger? Here's a photo of them right here from the competition that Donald Trump held. I'm going to just pause right here and keep this picture up. This was the event that Donald Trump held. These were the girls that Donald Trump was hanging out with in the 1990s based on this
This is Elder G again. You see what you 77 million people that voted for Donald Trump did? You voted for a child molester. You voted for someone that was twice impeached. You voted for someone that was convicted of sexual assault with 34 felonies. Its company was convicted of fraud. You fought. And you went out in the cold and you stormed our Capitol. It wasn't for the price of eggs. It wasn't for inflation. It was so you can put your God in office.